Welcome to Undercurrents of Romance, the show that celebrates every subgenre of romantic fiction. In each episode, I peel back the layers of your favorite love stories and chat with the talented authors who bring them to life. I'm your host, Tracey Devlyn. Now, let's dive in with today's guest. Hello, Romantics. I'm here with USA Today bestselling author Vanessa Fewings to talk about her new erotic romance, Chandelier Enthralled. Welcome to the show, Vanessa.
Thank you for letting me be here. I'm super happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. We have a mutual friend, Pam Stack, introduced us, and I
Yes,
was
amazing
delighted
Pam
to
Stack.
learn. Yes, she is
Yes,
amazing, isn't she? Little
she's so
Spitfire. I just
inspiring.
love her.
Yes,
But I was
incredible.
delighted to hear that you used to host a romance-focused
I
podcast, and
did.
so
Yes, when
I
I
was
lived in Florida.
curious. Yeah,
Yes, I loved it.
yeah. So how does it feel being on the other side of the mic?
Oh, it feels fine because I was so used to being on the other side. It's much more relaxing.
Yes,
So
yes.
yes, but it's a fun, way to chat and talk about books, and so I love podcasts.
Oh, good, good, good. Well, this will be a fun conversation, I think. But before we dive into your wonderful novel, why don't you get us started by telling us a little bit about yourself and your writing journey? Just, whatever you'd like to share.
Sure. I was an overnight success. No, I'm joking. Um, I started writing in 2000, at 13. I wrote my first book as a child, but I started to write a vampire series. I absolutely was a huge fan of Anne Rice, so I initially wrote 4 books in a vampire series, and then I dabbled in romance, and I just became hooked. And I ended up writing a 10-book series called The Enthrall Sessions. And then I went on to write a 3-book spin off. But in between that, I've written a romantic comedy and I've written another erotic romances. So I have about 27 books out there. And I even co wrote a
Wow.
book with the amazing Ava Harrison called The
Okay.
Ravishing. And so, yeah, I've had quite the adventure, the writing
Yeah.
adventure.
Yeah, you have been
Yes,
busy since 2013.
yes,
That is amazing.
yes,
That's great because
yes.
these aren't, I mean, I was reading an ebook, but these don't appear to be small books or short books. So,
No, yeah.
yeah, they keep you busy for sure.
I always intend for them to be like 80,000 words. And then all of a sudden I was saying to my editor, I was kind of right this time I was writing and sending chapters and I was like, where are we? And I looked and it was over 100,000 words for Chandelier Enthralled. And I was like, oh no, that's not
Yeah.
good. Sorry about that. And she was amazing. And so, yeah, most of the time I compensated her for the extra time. So, yeah, I usually try to aim for 80,000 words, but sometimes the story just calls for longer in the
Yeah,
book.
yeah. I have that same problem where I shoot for 80,000, but it always seems to bloom into like 90 to 95 and
Yes.
I just can't kick that. I don't
Trad
know
loves,
what.
and traditional publishing loves that. I did write a 3-book series for Harlequin, I think, and but they wanted at least 100,000 words, I think, for each book. And I wrote the
Okay.
Icon trilogy for them, The Chase, the Game, and the Prize. So that went out in
Nice.
bookstores and stuff. So that was fun. But yes, when you have to go longer, when you don't have to go longer and you do, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You bet, you bet. Well,
Hmm.
Chandelier Enthralled is the third book in your Chandelier Sessions series. But
Yes.
uh but it was my first entree into this really dark and sensual world that you've created. And your writing, it's so lyrical and it just flows so nicely on the page. And but you also, I don't know how you did this, but you have this tension that is on every page. And even when in that scene with Grayson and Willa and they're in the kitchen and they're talking about muffins and coffee and things like this, but there's still just this underlying tension in that scene.
Yes.
And I am, why don't you just tell us a little bit about about writing this
Sure.
book. Maybe I don't want to give away any spoilers, so I always like the author to talk about the book
Mm,
itself and maybe how this series is connected to your best-selling
sure.
Enthralled series, if you don't mind.
Sure. I think when I was talking about when the characters were in the kitchen, Grace and Willa, and there's that tension, there's those ordinary moments that we all love to experience, but we also know that sometimes there's an undercurrent. So it's always, and the book had this undercurrent, this of tension and stress and who to trust, and so that kind of comes up to the surface, I suppose. So yeah, when I'm writing those scenes, I feel a level of stress when I'm writing anyway. So I remember speaking to another author about it, and I said, don't worry about being anxious or stressed when writing. And I say this to other authors, that sometimes is conveyed on the page, so actually pays off. So it's, although you're suffering at the time from the stress and the anxiety of writing, it actually, you can actually imbue your writing with those moments and with that
Yeah.
tension. So I always want to think of it like that. And sometimes it's because a, I'm not, well, I might in the future, but right now I'm a pantser, not a plotter. And what that means, obviously, a lot of us know what that means. It means I'm riding by the seat of my pants. I don't know what's going to happen next. My characters show me. So again, there's a tension in, gosh, what's going to happen next? Where do they go next? And very often it's so obvious once I get to the end of that chapter and I write, I go, that feels like a natural transition. That's where they would go next, or what
Yeah.
should happen next. That's, and because I'm doing it in my head and not writing on paper, I'm working with the beats in my head. So I'm the rhythm and the beats and the plotting and the three acts are all done in my head as I go
Uh,
along. I
yeah.
do get to
Yeah.
the end, usually when I'm at the last 30,000 words, then I can plot because I kind of have
Hmm.
a feel of where it needs to go and what is needed. So then I kind of start plotting, or organically it comes up. But initially
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know. And Anne Rice said the same thing, actually. So I'm always very reassured because I'm a huge Anne Rice fan. And she used to say sometimes she didn't know. It was always when she was writing that those beautiful little golden nuggets used to come up, and she knew where she was going
Yeah.
to go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
can you give us just a quick, I guess like an elevator pitch of what Chandelier Enthralled is all about?
Sure. Well, I wrote the first series, the 10-book series of Enthrall, and then I wrote a three-book spin-off series because I absolutely love these characters. And they came up in the second to last book, these three gentlemen. And it's basically throughout Enthrall, there was this club called Pendulum. And it's because Enthrall is based on these amazing clubs, these VIP clubs that are very elite and very sensual and everything, very um, and so I felt like I had to resolve that club and fix that club before I could ever let it all go. And so that's what I did. I brought these three characters in who purchased the club or were trying to purchase the club, and their secret partner who comes in as well. And so that's revealed who that is in that series. Of course, Cameron Cole comes back, and he's a huge fan favorite. He's huge. So many readers absolutely adore Cameron. He's the brilliant
Yeah.
psychiatrist who also is featured in the three books too. And so basically, it's about these how they take over this club, and they find that it's even more sinister than they first discovered. And it's more of a thriller suspense as well. There's murder and death and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm actually having a menopausal hot flush. So for all your ladies out there who go through menopause,
It's just a
I'm
nice
here. I
glowy
am.
flush. No
Here I
worries, no
am in all
worries.
my authentic beauty.
It's great. It's all great.
Yes, it's fine. I'll cool down in a second.
Okay.
So sorry
Uh,
about that.
no worries, no
I'm very
worries.
excited about the books. It's nothing to do with the books. Hormones. Yeah.
Well, one of the things I really enjoyed was the Cole family. You have Willa, who has come from New York to live with, or at least temporarily, to live with
Yes.
Cameron. Is that a lot of times whenever you get these big dynastic families, it's all very cutthroat, and they're all trying to figure out how to, wiggle their way to the top, so that they can be, kind of the head honcho type of thing. But I did not sense that at all in this book, and I don't know if that's happened in
Mm.
previous books or not,
Yes,
but they seem like a very, what is it? It's Cameron, Willa, and Henry. They all
yes.
seem very loving to each other, and I appreciated that a lot.
Yes, that's really a great observation. So they're really all very talented in their own right. So Cameron is a brilliant psychiatrist, and he loves his clinic, and he loves treating patients. That's his passion. And then Henry was wanted to be a SEAL in the military, and he was a SEAL for many years. And he went through some awful experiences in the military where he was captured. So that's his backstory. And he's the eldest brother of the Cole family. Cameron is the middle brother, and then Willa is the youngest, and she wants to pursue journalism. So they all have these incredible passions. So the family is a tea and a little bit of a coffee empire too, but major tea empire. It's called the Cold Tea Empire. And so they reluctantly go into the family business because it wasn't their first calling. But Henry finds his feet with it and ends up as the CEO and ends up running the entire business and absolutely loves it. And at some point, Cameron had to step in because Henry was meant to take over, but he just couldn't. He wasn't well enough because of PTSD and all the experiences he went through. But he eventually comes through that. Cameron helps him through that. His friends and family help him through that. And then he just shines. He still has his moments of experiencing some residual from being in the military, but he utilizes that and uses that for the positive. I have a military background. I was in the British Army for 8 years. I was a captain in the Queen Alexandra's Royal Army Nursing Corps, so I had some background of the military. Although this family American, so they're in the military. So Henry was in the American military, and then Will, of course, is fashion. Oh no, sorry, that was Cameron's wife. Willa is journalism. Willa is
Journalism, yeah.
journalism, and that's her passion. She hasn't quite gone into the business, but yeah. So that's pretty. So they really. That's why they don't really all pursue it. They're not hungry for ambition and stuff like that. This
Yeah,
is my
yeah.
Foxhound Sherlock whistling in the background, trying to
Oh,
get my
Sherlock, I
attention.
love that. Yeah.
Okay.
I like to see Sherlock's little face.
Yes, I know.
For many years I read historical romance novels, and there were always foxhounds and things like that in those.
Oh,
But I always wanted to see one in real life, and so yeah, it's great. That's
yeah,
great.
he's cute.
Um, Well, I've always loved the name Grayson, and
Oh, yes.
yeah, it's just I don't know what it is about that name, but I've just always really, really loved that name. And but he's a pretty tortured soul, at least,
Yes.
especially in the beginning of this story. And Willa, she, she's suffering from a heartbreak, but to me, she's kind of like light and sunshine, and I think her brother mentions that a little bit too. She's just kind of got a purity about her. But I was curious, how did you know when you had the right counterpoint to Grayson in Willa?
Um, oh, I mean, how did I know they were going to be well matched up?
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah. That's a
Yes.
better way of putting it. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, 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 no. Yours is very brilliant. Yours is brilliant. Um, gosh. Obviously, before I started writing, I was going to write Grayson's book, and then I was trying to think of who would be perfect for Grayson. And then I felt like Willa was still, she'd been introduced in the book, and I thought what I loved is my readers, the fans of the series already knew about Willow. She starts off as Willow, and she
Ah,
decides to call herself Willa as she comes out of this breakup. She tries to reinvent herself, and she comes from New York. So it felt like it was a very organic coming together. That's how it felt.
okay.
So
Okay.
it felt very natural to put them together. And
All
it would
right.
satisfy the readers who already knew her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yes.
it was a great pairing. It
Oh,
was really
thank
nice.
you.
Yeah, I loved it.
Thank you.
So one of the things that I like to dive into on this show is finding the story's undercurrent. You mentioned that a little bit earlier with the author, and it tends to be that second beating heart that's flowing beneath, the lover's journey in the story. What undercurrent do you think is flowing beneath Willa and Grayson's story?
Oh, I think they've both been betrayed. So they have a very similar experience of both being betrayed. One, Willa for her boyfriend who cheated on her, and Grayson with a girlfriend who she wasn't really a girlfriend, she was his submissive, really, but they were lovers, and he was very fond of her, and he really took care of her and tried to help her. And even though, in the realms of submission and dominance, and she betrays him terribly, and her with Amelia betraying Grayson, it has severe consequences.
Yeah.
So they both completely lost their faith in people, and if not themselves and their choices and humanity. And so both of them tried to restore that faith in each other, as well as see the world again through those eyes that you first see the world in. So I think they both want to just have faith again in each other, in that relationship, but also in the world and what the world will give them and do for them. And they never stop giving, despite the fact that they have lost their faith. They still take care of each other, and it's not enemies to lovers. I wanted to
Mhm.
write enemies to lovers, but it ended up being um, friends to lovers. They become more like friends. So
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so
yes,
too. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. As speaking of tropes, we'll switch gears just a little bit here. You'd mentioned friends to lovers. What other tropes do you think readers will come across when reading this book?
Oh, when reading the book, oh gosh. So my foxhound is whistling. Foxhounds whistle.
I
So it's
can't
like a
hear
little
them.
my
That's
I'm kicking around now. Thanks, Sherlock. I'm trying to focus. Sorry about that.
that's okay.
I didn't want to look him upstairs. It's, because this is his home. So what other tropes? Older man, younger woman, slightly.
Okay.
Um, uh, that kind of thing. BDSM, some BDSM, some very, very uh what other
Or like
tropes?
brother's best friend too,
Brother's
maybe?
best friend, yes, brother's
Yeah.
best friend.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what it's like when
Okay.
someone asks you about your book, you're like, I have to really think
I
about
know.
it.
It's
Because
so
it's like,
hard.
yes,
It's
yes,
so hard to come up with them off the top of your head like that. I feel
yes,
bad torturing authors, but I know that readers they do love, the tropes, and so I like to
yes,
give them an idea of what they're going to find inside each of these books. So
yes.
thank you for that.
Thank you.
Have you read a romance novel recently that you really loved and maybe could share with us?
Um, I think anything, I mean, the usual books that I love to read is anything by Ava Harrison. She's also a co-writer for The Ravishing. So I'm a huge fan of hers. Um, gosh, who else? Anything by Sylvia Day. I'm a huge fan of Sylvia Day. So I'm trying to think of what books I've read recently. I'm actually reading more fiction, non-fiction right now. I'm going through a
Yeah.
non-fiction binge. Currently reading Prism,
Okay.
about personal development, and that kind of thing. So I haven't read. I'm ashamed to say I haven't read a romance book in a few months. So
Yeah,
I
no
need
worries.
to. I've got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah,
I
I'll
just
I'll
finished. It took me about a year, I think, to write Chandelier Enthralled. So believe it or not, with all the other things I had to do. So yeah, because I
yeah,
still
no worries.
teach. I still teach nursing. So I'm a nurse
Oh,
educator. So I'm an RN and I still teach nursing. So
that's
I'm there
great.
still, but I love it and I'm passionate about teaching. So it's
Yeah.
fine. So because of that, there's not always a lot of room to enjoy reading myself. But those are two authors that come to mind.
Yeah, I'll take a
Yes,
look and see what I can,
yes,
whatever Ava's most recent book
yes.
is, and I'll pop it into the show notes. I like
She
to,
just finished a
I like
hockey
to
series. So
expose listeners to to other authors
yes.
as well. Yeah,
Well,
they
that's
always like that.
great.
Yeah, that's great.
That's great.
All right. Well, let's go behind the scenes a little bit and let's find out when you finish a book, how do you like to celebrate or treat yourself?
Oh, when I finish a book, I just usually this sounds crazy, but I treat myself, but not right for not writing. a month. I give myself a month off, and I
Yeah.
like to watch television, and I like to watch binge TV series. So I was binging *Handmaid's Tale*, the last of the series, and that kind of thing. So
Okay.
that's predominantly what I do. I just rest,
Okay.
and I do some social media promotion and that kind of thing. But the way I reward myself is to get calm my nervous system down, because those last few weeks, here he is, here's the dog. Yes, hello. Yes, podcast.
Oh, sweetie.
Yes, soon. Well, yes. So that's what I tend to. Yes, I know. I'll be
Yeah.
there soon.
That's a great way to
So
treat
yeah,
yourself.
so
I mean,
that's it.
it can get very intense, especially towards the end. So that's a
Yes,
nice way. Just kind of shut it all down for a little while and let your mind rest.
yes,
And yeah, no,
yes,
that's great.
yeah. And then I
So,
I get kind of re-energized to work on something new, and I've got a lot of, because I feel like it involves a lot of psychic energy and a lot of spiritual energy when writing a book.
yeah,
So
yeah,
all
yeah.
right, all right, you will go soon. Yes, hello. Oh, you want to say hello? Okay, that
Hi,
was
baby.
fabulous. That was nice for you to do that. Thank you.
So, besides reading, what is your favorite thing to do when you're not writing? Besides, maybe binge TV,
Yes.
but is there anything else that you enjoy doing that
I love
your
spending
time
time
off?
with my dog. I love taking
Yeah.
him to the park, and be careful not to say it. And spending time with him, going for long walks, spending time with my sister and family and friends. So I
Okay.
really try to value that is very valuable time, and I never take it for granted. So because those moments are so precious. So I love going to the movies, and I love, that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yes.
That's great. Well, before we go, can you give
Yes.
us a hint of what's up next? Or maybe if you have some movie news that you could share with
Oh,
us?
yes. So, Enthrall, the first book in the 10-book series, is going to be a movie. We have the director attached. Sorry, my dog's panting. Yes, you'll go out in a second. I can see your dog in the background too. Yes, soon, soon. I promise, soon. Um, so Enthrall got optioned for film. The script is done, and the a director is attached. It's the director from 365 Days, who co-directed 365 Days, the movie that was a hit on Netflix. And we also have the same cinematographer. So we are ready to go, script done, and we are just waiting for the green light to go film
Okay.
that. I
Oh,
kind of know where they're going to film it, but I'm just waiting to be able to. They will announce it first,
yeah.
and that's with Passion Flicks.
Yeah.
And then I have some other interest in another book of mine. So I'm waiting to see what happens with that one. So that's movie news. And then as far as what I'm writing next, I'm actually going to work on a book series that needs to be refreshed. It's my vampire series, actually. So I'm going to throw myself into rewriting that. When it went with a certain publisher, they took a lot of the romance out of it. That was
Mm.
just something they felt, and the sensuality and the sex too. And so I'm actually going to refresh those, do a major rewrite with those, and then refresh those and then re-release those. So that's what I'm going to
Okay.
work on over the next few months. And then maybe another book on top of that. So I'll see.
Wow. Wow. All right.
Yes,
Sounds like you're going to be super busy. Well,
yes,
congratulations
yes.
on the movie. And is it going to
Thank
be a
you.
movie or is it going to be a
It's going to
limited
be a movie. It's going to
Okay.
be a movie. Yes.
Okay.
And
All
may I
right.
ask about your latest book?
My latest book,
Yes,
I my latest book I published last year. So
yes.
I
Congratulations.
am,
Oh,
yeah, thank you, thank you.
yes,
So what I spent this past year doing is working on what I consider a passion project. It's a straight thriller with a little bit of romantic elements. I don't think I can write anything that doesn't have a little bit of at least a romantic element to it.
yes.
And so I'm polishing that up right now. I'm waiting for the copy edits as we speak, and then I'm going to try and sell that to New York. So that's where I'm at right now.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck with that. That's so exciting.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I
Thank
love
you.
that. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for
Yes,
sure.
yes.
Well, folks, when this episode airs, Chandelier Enthralled will be out, so be sure to order your copy today. You can check out Vanessa's website at vanessafewings.com. Be sure to sign up for her newsletter while you're there. Vanessa, what social media platform are you most active on?
I think I'm most active on, well, I'm on TikTok now, although I don't do
Okay.
too many lives. I need to do more of those in the future, and Instagram, and of course Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Vanessa Fewings' Romance Lounge. So really, it's those areas where I'm more likely to appear. I need to do more on Threads and other places, but right now that's where I am.
There's so many places
Yes,
to pull
yes,
our attention. Sometimes I feel like you
yes,
just find one or two and focus on those and it's all good, you know? Yeah,
yes,
I'm the same way. I've got my finger, except for TikTok. I have not dabbled in TikTok yet, but I've got my fingers in all the others right now, and it's
yes.
like,
That's
oh, I would really like to
yes.
simplify.
Yes, I think it's all about being an author is all about management and
Hmm.
hopefully I try to write in the mornings when I'm off and I write in the morning and then I do all the social media in the afternoon because that's when I've burnt through all that creative energy. So it's a
Yeah,
matter of organization and balance
yeah,
and
yeah.
sometimes it works and sometimes it's challenging, but I'm always so grateful because I do what I love and I
Hmm.
built up a bit of an audience, a bit of a fan base for the series. And so, I feel like I never would never feel lonely because there's so many people out there that to connect with.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well,
Yes.
Vanessa, thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad we got this opportunity to chat about Chandelier Enthralled and to
Thank
get to know you
you.
personally.
Thank you. And I'm
And
sorry for the
yeah.
disruptions with the doggo.
Oh, no worries.
Sorry.
I look at these conversations as just two authors, sitting around
Yes.
having a good time chatting and sometimes life, pops up. My dog will probably pop up too in these, so no worries. No worries
That's
at
so
all.
cute.
Uh, well, many thanks to everyone listening. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Undercurrents of Romance. You can find more information about the show at tracydevlyn.com/podcast. Undercurrents of Romance is a proud member of the Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. I'll be back soon with another great romantic read. In the meantime, enjoy the adventure, everyone.